let's get into work. Well, asleep in the valley, as the very name suggests, asleep, that means a profound sleep, a deep slumber in the valley. Valley is here, if the mountain valley, of course. Valley is a low and a deep lying flat space in the mountains, a comparatively low space, a comparatively flat space in the mountain landscape, which is surrounded by high mountains all around it. Actually, valley is the most beautiful part in a mountain. The most beautiful natural sceneries can be experienced in the mountain valleys. So here we are going to read a poem, Asleep in the Valley by Arthur Rimbaud. Now, Jean-Nicolas Arthur Rimbaud is a French poet, and he is popularly known as the marvelous boy of French poetry. Yes, marvelous boy in French poetry, because the first collection of his poems was published when he was 16 years old only, and by the time he became 19 years old, he quitted writing poetry. He stopped writing poetry. And in the meantime, whatever he has written has earned for him the status that still continues in the history of literature. His contribution in the very brief time is so much that he is remembered even now with respect. Arthur Rimbaud, he is one of the foremost writers of free verse. Free verse, you can experience free verse very common in modern writing style. It's actually without maintaining any regular metrical scheme, without maintaining any regular rhyme pattern. That's called free verse. He was one of the foremost poets to write in free verse. Next, his writing is so influential that many modern artists and painters were influenced by his writings, and among them the popular painter Pablo Picasso, musician Jim Morrison, Bob Dylan, even Dylan Thomas, Allen Ginsberg, etc. All of them were so much influenced by his modern thoughts. Rimbaud is very much significant and remembered for his innovative writing of form and use of words. He has a very innovative style of form and use of words. That's why Rimbaud is so much remembered even now. Now, I must refer here one autobiographical reference which will be very much useful while discussing this poem, and that is Rimbaud joined the Dutch colonial army in 1876. Dutch colonial army in 1876, and this poem was written 1 year after that, in 1877, when France was in war with Russia. That means this poem was written on the backdrop of Franco-Russian war in 1877. As he took part in the warfare, he has the first-hand knowledge of war. He had the knowledge of the brutality, the futility of war. Yes, it's a poem about war. It's a poem about war. Okay, Now, if we talk about the form of the poem, Asleep in the Valley is a sonnet. Yes, it's a sonnet. And I have described about sonnet and discussed about the origin of sonnets and its evolution in my previous live classroom. So, sonnet, as you know, is a 14-line lyrical poetry. And here, Asleep in the Valley follows the Petrarchan style of writing sonnets. Naturally, it is divided into octave and sestet. The first 8 lines comprises of the octave and the next 6 lines that comprises of sestet. And there is a rhyme scheme, of course. The octave is divided into 2 stanzas of 4 lines each, and the sestet is divided into 2 stanzas, 3 lines each. It's a very simple sonnet, a lyrical poem about war. Mark my words, it's a poem about war. Well, after I have completed my introductory discussion, I am ready to go into the poem. If you have any question, you can put your comments on the comment box below and I'll try to answer them. Well, then let's go into the poem. A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. From the mountain top stream the sun's rays, they fill the hollow full of light. Now, read the 4 lines once again and you will get a beautiful picture of a mountain landscape, a beautiful picturesque mountain landscape. A small green valley. Valley, as I have described before, is a low lying flat area in the mountains and which is surrounded by the high mountain ranges. It is the most beautiful part in the mountain. So here is a description of a small green valley. The valley is not only small, but it is full of green foliage. There are a lot of trees, plants full of verdurous green. It's a natural landscape full of green trees, green plants, green bushes, green shrubs, etc. So, where a slow stream flows, stream refers to a mountain river. Naturally, in the mountains, when the rivers are in the mountains, they are very small, and these small rivers are in the mountains are called stream. A slow stream flows in the valley. Through the valley, a stream flows very slowly, very smoothly, and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. Leaves long strands. As the stream flows through the valley, if you have a bird's eye view from the top of the valley, you can see the stream seems like strands of silver. Strands means the thread, ribbon. সুতোর মতো, রূপলি সুতোর মতো. Long strands of silver. Actually, as the light reflects on the waves of the stream, it seems like the bright silver. Okay, now if you have a bird's eye view, you can see the stream look like a bright ribbon flowing through the mountain valley, flowing through the green valley of the mountain on the bright grass. And why is the grass so bright? Because as the light of the sun also falls on the blades of the grass, it makes the grasses look bright. So therefore, we get a very beautiful picture of nature around in the very first two lines of the poem, that is a very small green valley where a slow stream flows, and the stream seems to the poet like strands of silver flowing through it, and the grasses are very bright, very vibrant. Here green is actually the color of life, the color of vitality, the color of growth. The whole valley is vibrant with life force. Okay. From the mountain top streams the sun's rays. From the mountain top stream. This stream is different from the stream in the first line of the poem. The first stream refers to a mountain river, but the second stream that refers to the flow of the sunlight. Second stream is actually a verb. It refers to the flow of the sunlight. The sunlight flows from the mountain tops. You know, when the sun rises on the east, the light of the sun has to cover the mountain tops to light up the valley. When the sun overtakes the mountain tops, only then the light comes to the valley and falls on the grass, falls on the trees, falls on the plants, falls on the stones and everywhere. Therefore, as the first light of the sun, of the morning sun, falls on from the mountain top, they feel the hollow full of light. Feel the hollow. Here, hollow means actually a empty, deep space, a low-lying space. একটা শূন্য জায়গা, নিচু জায়গা, যাকে আমরা বাংলায় বলি গর্ত। তো একটা গর্তের মতো জায়গা বোঝাচ্ছে hollow. Actually here the hollow refers to the valley itself. ভ্যালিটাই হচ্ছে এখানে hollow because the valley is also a low-lying and flat surface in the mountains. So hollow here refers to the valley. The sunlight falls from the mountain top and it lightens up the whole valley. Okay, feel the hollow full of light. Now, in the very first 4 lines, we get a beautiful description of natural landscape, a picturesque scenario, and there is no description of any human being here. Absolute nature, absolute pure nature is present here. Okay, now come to the second stanza. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed. Now we get the reference to a human being present in the valley, and he is none but a young soldier, a soldier who is very tender in his age. A very young soldier lies open-mouthed. He lies in the valley. He is lying asleep in the valley, open-mouthed, and his mouth is a little agape. Agape means a little open. It's a little open. The soldier is lying here over the valley and his mouth is a little open. After we have watched the valley, its surrounding, its natural landscape, we have found out a soldier lying there with his mouth wide open. A pillow made of fern beneath his head, and the soldier head rests on a pillow made of fern, a very natural plant, a natural shrub that is providing the pillow on his head. So the soldier is lying on the pillow made of the fern, asleep. The very word refers to that the soldier is in profound sleep. He is in deep slumber. He is sound asleep. The very word asleep means that he is in deep slumber. প্রচণ্ড ঘুমের মধ্যে রয়েছে, গভীর ঘুমের মধ্যে রয়েছে, এই ওয়ার্ডটিই তা বলে দেয়। Stretched in the heavy undergrowth. Stretched means expanded. He is expanded. শুয়ে আছে. He is expanded in the heavy undergrowth. Undergrowth here means the bushes, the shrubs that is growing under the soldier, under the body of the soldier. The soldier is actually lying on the bushes, on the shrubs, on the natural plants, on the grass. ঘাসের ওপর শুয়ে আছে, ঝোপের ওপর শুয়ে আছে, এবং these are referred to as the undergrowth. Okay, the soldier is lying on the grasses, on the bushes, on the natural shrubs, and his head is on the rest of a pillow in the form of fern. Pale in his warm, green, sun-soaked bed. Pale means colorless. The soldier seems colorless. He is a pale, warm, green, sun-soaked bed. Though the soldier seems to be pale, maybe the soldier is pale because he is very much tired, he is very much exhausted in the battlefield, and out of the fatigue in the battlefield, he is taking rest in the beautiful landscape, in the cradle of nature. প্রকৃতির কোলে সে শুয়ে পড়েছে because he is tired, he is exhausted, fatigued in the battlefield. যুদ্ধক্ষেত্রে যেহেতু প্রচণ্ড ক্লান্ত হয়ে গেছে, so he is taking rest on the lap of nature. প্রকৃতির কোলে বিশ্রাম নিচ্ছে. And due to the fatigue, he looks pale. এই ক্লান্তির কারণে তাকে বিবর্ণ লাগছে. It may be also that it's cold in the mountain, and due to that cold, the soldier may also look pale. এই ঠান্ডার কারণে তাকে কিন্তু বিবর্ণ লাগতে পারে. In his warm, green, sun-soaked bed. So there is a contrast here. একটা তফাৎ রয়েছে. কি তফাৎ রয়েছে? Though his bed is comprised of the grass, the bushes, the shrubs. The grasses, the bushes that has absorbed the sunlight, and as a result, they have become warm. Though his bed is warm, the soldier is rather cold and he looks pale. Okay. So we have completed the octave, the first part of the sonnet, and here in the first 4 lines we get the description of a beautiful nature. In the second 4 lines we get the picture of a young soldier who is lying there peacefully in the lap of nature. Okay, and nature is actually provides him the bed for his rest. Now let's move to the sestet. His feet among the flowers. Now the soldier's feet are among the flowers, among the natural flowers blooming in the lap of nature. We can also guess that perhaps nature is very much respectful to the soldier. Soldier is a hero. He is considered as a hero. He has returned from the battlefield after a tough fight. So nature is actually paying homage to him. And so his feet are among the flowers. He sleeps. Again the word sleep appears. The poet again reminds us that the soldier is actually lying asleep. He is sleeping. While he is sleeping, his feet rests upon the flower. He is lying upon heavy undergrowth. His head is on the pillow of fern. His smile is like an infant's. His smile, the smile of the soldier. He refers to the soldier here, the soldier lying in the lap of nature, the young soldier taking rest in the cradle of nature. His smile is like an infant's. Now, his smile resembles to the smile of the infants. There is a comparison, there is a simile. The soldier's smile resembles the smile of an infant. And how is an infant smile? Actually, শিশুর হাসিটা কেমন? Gentle, without guile. Gentle means mild, modest, and without guile. Guile means without any trickery, without any pretension. এখানে কোনো ভান নেই, এখানে কোনো অভিনয় নেই. It's pure, it's not fake. Like the children's smile, the soldier's smile is also very pure, very mild. He has a smile in his face. That refers to, we can well understand that the soldier is lying there very peacefully. He is much enjoying the natural surroundings there. and out of fatigue, he is taking rest in the lap of nature. Well, here I must refer a name of a poem by my favorite poet John Keats. If you have read or gone through his poem To One Who Has Been City Pent, you can get a picture that the poet gets bored in the city life, and out of this monotony he escapes to a countryside, and in the countryside he lies on the grassy field under the open sky, and he feels very peaceful there. He feels very much blessed there. He feels the bliss of solitude there. Like this, I can compare the situation of To One Who Has Been City Pent here in this poem Asleep in the Valley. The soldier also reminds us of the poet who is lying asleep under the open sky on the grassy field, and he is feeling the bliss of solitude. He is enjoying the absolute peace in the nature. Ah, nature, keep him warm. He may catch cold. Well, this is the expression by the poet. The poet expresses that, ah, nature, he is actually addressing nature. কবি প্রকৃতিকে বলছেন ah, nature. So nature is written in the capital letter. Nature has been personified here. Nature কে ব্যক্তি সত্তা আরোপ করা হয়েছে. He has been imposed with human qualities. The poet requests nature as if he is a human embodiment. Keep him warm, he may catch cold. Poet requests nature to keep the soldier warm. As I have mentioned before, that it's a mountain surrounding, it's a mountain landscape, and as a result there is cold outside. The soldier who is lying asleep and who has forgotten everything around him, he may catch cold. The poet is so much worried about the soldier. Okay, he may catch cold. The soldier may catch cold. So he requests nature to keep him warm by warm sunlight. The humming insects don't disturb his rests. Insects are flying here and there over the flowers, but the sound produced by their flying cannot disturb his rest. He is so profound asleep, he is so sound asleep that the humming of the insects cannot disturb his rest, cannot wake him up. He sleeps in sunlight. He sleeps in sunlight. The soldier is lying asleep in the sunlight. That is, sunlight actually falls on him. Sunlight is actually the symbol, it symbolizes life force. Everything on this earth is created on the presence of the sun. Life is created due to the presence of the sun. So sunlight has a life-giving power. সূর্যের একটা জীবনদায়ী শক্তি রয়েছে, and that sunlight falls on the soldier. He sleeps in sunlight, one hand on his breast. And how does the soldier lie? He has one hand on his breast. But this is not everything. The soldier is lying there peacefully. His head is on the pillow of fern. He is lying on the heavy undergrowth. His feet is among the flowers. He has a gentle childlike smile on his face. And last, he has one hand on his breast. At peace, he is very much peaceful there. He is lying very peacefully there. It seems that the soldier is lying very peacefully there. He is feeling the bliss of nature there. In his side, there are two red holes. Oh my God. The rude shock actually comes at the very concluding line of the poem, at the very end of the poem. Till now, we were engrossed in a romantic imagination. The surrounding made us imaginative. এই যে পরিবেশটা আমাদেরকে একটু কল্পনাপ্রবণ করে তুলেছিল, and we were so much feeling romantic like the soldier there. But suddenly we are self-shocked that there are two red holes by his side, by the body or side of the body of the soldier. There are two red holes. That means bullet wounds. The red hole refers to the bullet wounds. That signifies that he is a victim of war. He is actually lying dead there. He is actually a casualty of the brutal warfare. সে আসলে যুদ্ধের একজন বলি, যুদ্ধে বলি প্রদত্ত একজন যুবক সৈনিক। এতক্ষণ ধরে আমরা কল্পনাপ্রবণ হয়ে পড়েছিলাম, আমরা এই কবিতাটা পড়ে বেশ রোম্যান্টিক হয়ে পড়েছিলাম, বাট at the very end of the poem, at the very concluding sentence, we come to the reality that the soldier is actually a victim of war. He is lying there dead. He has been brutally killed in the war. But my question is, does the poet really give us the information that the soldier is dead at the very end of the poem? Haven't we noticed ever before that there is the reference of the soldier's death in the poem? Okay, let's look back a few pages. Now, in the second stanza, if you notice that it has been referred, the soldier lies open-mouthed. Doesn't it seem uncanny to you? এটা কি অদ্ভুত ঠেকছে না? একজন ঘুমিয়ে আছে আর তার মুখটা হালকা ঈষৎ ফাঁক হয়ে আছে, ওপেন মাউথড। Of course, there is something uncanny here. The poet has tried to make us known that there is something uncanny in the young soldier lying there under the open sky in the cold atmosphere. Next, number 2, asleep. The very word asleep, sleep is the brother of death. In Shakespeare's writing, we have found that sleep the sleep that knows no end. So, death actually refers to eternal sleep that doesn't know any end. এমন একটা ঘুম যা কখনো থামে না, যা কখনো শেষ হয় না, ইটার্নাল স্লিপ। দ্যাট ইটার্নাল স্লিপ রেফার্স টু ডেথ। হিয়ার asleep actually refers to that death of the soldier. Again, the very word pale, pale, this is the color of death. When a man dies, his color becomes pale, he becomes colorless. This word also suggests, also signifies his death. Next, the poet again refers that he sleeps. Again, sleep is the brother of death. It is the eternal sleep. Death is the eternal sleep that the poet is experiencing here. Next, the humming insects don't disturb his rest. The soldier is in such a profound sleep that even the sound of the humming insects moving and flying over his face cannot disturb his sleep. This is really uncanny, and here is a very clear indication that the soldier is actually lying dead. He has no life in his body. He is lying there lifeless. And at the very end of the poem, there is a very clear indication that he has two bullet wounds by his side. And now we are confirmed and over-confirmed that the soldier is actually a victim of war. But here in the poem, there is no direct reference to war. Like the war poets like Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon, Rupert Brooke, we find no direct reference to war. There is no description of warfare or any other thing, or brutality or futility or the horror of war. Here, actually, what the poet indicates is at the very end of the poem, and so it cannot be called as a war poem. we cannot call Asleep in the Valley as a war poem. Rather, we can call it a poem about war. It's a simple lyric, it's a lyrical poem, it's a sonnet, and it's a poem about war, but not a war poem. As I have said, there is no direct reference to war like the poems of Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon, and Rupert Brooke. So, this cannot be claimed as a war poem. Well, thank you for being in the discussion and being with me. Thank you, everybody. Now, if you have any question, you can ask me. It's a very beautiful poem and you must go through it. After reading the text, if you face any problem in understanding, in answering questions or anything else, you can put your questions here and I will try my best to answer your questions.